Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going on a journey to unlock the potential of your brain.
Ooh, I like that.
We're talking neuroplasticity.
Okay.
This amazing ability your brain has to change and adapt
Yeah.
throughout your life and what it means for your career, your business, your entire life, really. Our guide for this deep dive is an article by Marynês Pereira.
Okay.
She's a Brazilian powerhouse in neurobusiness and emotional intelligence.
Wow.
With over 40 years of experience, she really knows her stuff.
You know, for years, we were kind of stuck with this idea that our brains were fixed after a certain age.
Right.
It was almost like we were given this brain at birth, and that was it.
Right, like a hard drive.
Yeah.
With limited storage.
Right.
But neuroplasticity flips that whole idea on its head.
Absolutely. What Pereira's article highlights so well is that our brains are incredibly dynamic. They can form new neural pathways and connections based on our experiences and even our thoughts.
Yeah.
And this isn't just a metaphor, by the way. Your brain is physically changing, just like when you learn a new language.
Right.
Or pick up a new skill.
So it's not destiny.
Yeah.
It's design.
Exactly.
We have the power to actually rewire our brains.
Precisely. And this brings us to a fascinating point Pereira makes about the power of our thoughts.
Okay.
What we focus on consistently actually shapes our reality.
That's interesting.
If you think about it, it makes sense. We tend to see what we're looking for, right?
Yeah. If you're looking for problems, you'll find them.
Exactly. Pereira takes it a step further, explaining how this works on a neurological level.
Okay.
It all boils down to this concept of neurons that fire together, wire together.
I've heard of that.
The more we repeat a thought or action,
Right.
the stronger those neural pathways become.
Okay.
Think of it like a hiking trail. The more you walk it, the more defined and easy to follow it gets.
So if we're constantly dwelling on negative thoughts or doubts, those pathways get really well worn, making it harder to break free.
It's like getting stuck in a rut. And unfortunately, many of us have some well-worn ruts in our brains.
Okay, so how do we break free and start building some new, more empowering pathways?
Well, Pereira talks about the importance of becoming aware of our thought patterns.
Right.
It's like taking inventory of your mental landscape.
Right.
What are those default settings? What are the stories you tend to tell yourself? Once you've identified them, you can start challenging them. So instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, maybe you start asking yourself, what evidence do I have for that?
Right.
Or what would a more empowering thought be in this situation?
Exactly. And the more you practice this, the more you'll start to rewire those old limiting pathways and create new ones that support your growth and success.
It's like mental decluttering.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it brings us to another important concept from Pereira's article,
Okay.
emotional baggage.
Oh.
She describes it as getting stuck in negative emotional patterns, almost like an emotional addiction.
Emotional. It's an intriguing concept, right?
Yeah.
Think about it in terms of the workplace.
Okay.
Have you ever worked with someone who's always negative, no matter what's going on?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Or a team that's resistant to change,
Uh-huh.
even when it's clearly needed?
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
It's like they're addicted to the drama or the negativity.
Exactly. And it can be incredibly draining for everyone involved.
Right.
Pereira challenges us to identify those emotional patterns that are no longer serving us, both individually and collectively.
So what does this look like in practice? How do we identify and overcome these emotional addictions in the workplace?
Well, the first step is awareness.
Okay.
We need to be able to recognize those ingrained patterns, those knee-jerk emotional reactions that might be holding us back. It's like shining a light on those dark corners of our minds.
And once we've identified them, what then?
Then it's about making a conscious choice to shift our focus and our behavior. This is where the power of neuroplasticity really comes in.
Right.
We can literally rewire our brains to respond differently to those triggers.
Okay, I'm really starting to see how all of this ties together.
Yeah.
Neuroplasticity, thought patterns, emotional baggage. But how does this translate into real-world results?
That's a great question.
How does this help us succeed in our careers and businesses?
And it's something we're going to dive into in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we jumped into emotional baggage,
Right.
we were talking about how we can actually rewire our brains for success.
Yeah.
But how do we take those insights from neuroscience and apply them to our work, our teams, our overall careers?
That's where things get really exciting. Pereira's article dives into how we can use these principles to cultivate a more positive and growth-oriented environment.
I like that.
This isn't just about feeling good.
Right.
It's about creating the conditions for real innovation and success.
Right. We've all experienced the difference between a supportive, inspiring workplace and one that's just draining.
Oh, yeah.
It impacts everything.
Absolutely. And it all starts with understanding that we have the power to reshape reality, as Pereira puts it.
Okay.
We can shift not just our own internal landscapes, but the entire atmosphere of a team or organization.
Okay. That sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? Where do we even begin?
Well, it starts with leadership.
Okay.
Leaders have a huge impact on the overall culture.
Right.
Their attitudes, behaviors, even their communication style, it all sets the tone.
So if you have a leader who's constantly micromanaging, creating a culture of fear, it doesn't matter how much you talk about neuroplasticity, it's going to be tough for anyone to thrive.
Exactly. But on the flip side, if you have leaders who are emotionally intelligent, who encourage open communication and feedback, who celebrate successes and learn from mistakes, that creates a fertile ground for growth.
It's like they're modeling the kind of mindset and behaviors they want to see in the team.
Exactly. And it's not just about what leaders say, it's about what they do.
Right.
Actions always speak louder than words. You can't talk about work-life balance and then send emails at all hours of the night expecting immediate responses.
That just breeds burnout and resentment.
Exactly.
So it's about walking the talk, aligning actions with those positive values.
Right. And it's about fostering a culture where people feel safe to take risks, share ideas, and even fail without fear of being punished.
Pereira also talks about creating a learning organization.
Yes.
Where continuous learning and development are encouraged.
This is crucial.
Right.
In today's world, things are changing so fast. We can't just rely on what we learned in school or even in our early careers.
It's like that saying, the only constant is change.
Right.
So how do we create that kind of learning environment?
It's about giving people access to training, encouraging mentorship, fostering a sense of curiosity and experimentation. Pereira also highlights the importance of clear communication.
That makes sense. If you're constantly dealing with misunderstandings and mixed messages, it creates so much unnecessary stress and confusion.
It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
Right.
It's just chaos.
Yeah.
But when communication is clear, concise, respectful, you build trust and alignment.
Pereira also emphasizes the importance of celebrating successes.
Oh, yeah.
Both big and small.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind and forget to acknowledge people's contributions.
Absolutely. And celebrating successes isn't just about feeling good. It reinforces those positive neural pathways we were talking about earlier.
It's like giving someone a mental high five.
I love it.
And she also talks about embracing failure as a learning opportunity, which can be tough for a lot of organizations.
It's true. Many companies still have this culture of blame and punishment.
Right.
But that just stifles innovation.
If people are terrified of making a mistake, they're not going to take risks or try anything new.
Exactly. So it's about shifting from who's to blame to what can we learn from this.
So it's about creating a culture where people feel safe to be vulnerable, admit their mistakes,
yes,
and ask for help.
Precisely. And this is where emotional intelligence comes into play again.
Okay.
Leaders who are emotionally intelligent can create that kind of environment where people feel seen, heard, and supported.
Pereira also talks about the importance of work-life balance and well-being.
And this is so crucial, especially in today's always-on culture. When people are constantly stressed, overworked, burnt out, it affects everything. Their health, their relationships, their work.
It's like trying to run a car on fumes.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to break down.
Exactly. So organizations need to support work-life balance, whether it's through flexible work arrangements, promoting healthy habits, or just encouraging people to take breaks.
It's about recognizing that people are whole human beings, not just machines. If you want people to bring their best, you have to create an environment that supports their well-being.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've really dug into this idea of neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
How our brains can change and how that impacts not just us as individuals, but our work environments, leadership, everything.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has.
And I think what's so amazing about Marynês Pereira's work is that she brings all of this complex neuroscience down to earth, making it applicable to our everyday lives.
Absolutely. It's not just about fascinating brain scans. It's about understanding that we're not stuck with the mental patterns we've developed over the years.
Yeah.
We can actually change those patterns, those habits of thought, those emotional ruts we get stuck in.
That's the big takeaway, isn't it? That feeling of empowerment, knowing that we have more control over our brains and therefore our lives than we might have realized.
Okay, so let's bring it home for our listener.
Okay.
If they were to walk away with one key action, one thing they could start doing today to harness this power of neuroplasticity, what would it be?
I think it goes back to what we were discussing earlier.
Okay.
Becoming more mindful of our thoughts.
Right.
Really paying attention to that inner voice.
Yeah.
The stories we're telling ourselves. Are they empowering us or are they holding us back?
Because those thoughts, those stories are literally shaping our brains.
Exactly.
It's like we're constantly writing and rewriting the code that runs our lives.
Exactly. And it's not about forcing ourselves to be positive all the time.
Right.
That's not realistic.
No.
It's more about noticing when we're getting stuck in a negative spiral and then consciously choosing a different path.
So instead of thinking I'm a failure, maybe it's asking, what can I learn from this experience?
Right.
What's one small step I can take to move forward?
Yes. It's about shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
I like that.
Embracing challenges as opportunities for learning and development.
And remembering that this is a process.
Yeah.
It takes time and effort to rewire those neural pathways.
Absolutely. It's like building a new muscle. You don't expect to see results overnight.
Right.
But with consistent effort, you will see those changes both in your brain and in your life.
So for anyone listening who's feeling overwhelmed or discouraged, remember that you have the power to change. You're not stuck. Your brain is capable of amazing things.
And as Marynês Pereira reminds us, the journey of transformation starts with a single step.
Right.
So what's one small step you can take today
to
start shaping a more positive and fulfilling future?
That's a great question to ponder. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the incredible world of neuroplasticity.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel inspired to unlock the full potential of your amazing brain.